Hey, traders and friends in the chat rooms. And basically, I still have a negative tilt this week so far in the markets. We'll see if China recovers some here towards the end of the week. Some things about China, and this is a little tidbit I know from because I have a couple friends and a family member working in the automobile industry. And I know for a fact both plants that the people I know working at, they've cut out all the overtime. Okay. And as of next week, like on my brother's where he's working, all the temps are going on furlough next week. And if China comes out later this week and says they're going to postpone people going back to work for another week, they're going to start running out of parts. And some people I know of work at Toyota, they're actually talking about cutting production schedules because of they've only typically keep a 3 week backlog on parts, and they're going to be running out of parts. This part of the just-in-time inventory, and these parts come from China, and so that's something to keep on watch how this might start impacting American industrials uh, by a lack of parts. And and keep in mind, these companies, if they can't satisfy their quotas, they have to pay a penalty to Ford and General Motors and Toyota because they can't satisfy, you know. And I don't know all the rules and nuances to it all. So I'm pretty sure, even though the flu is probably by no means any better than it was a week ago, they're probably going to open the uh, country back up come Monday for the simple fact that there's going to be all these penalties levied against them if they can't get these just-in-time inventory parts out to their customers. Okay, so just because they're opening the country back up doesn't mean that the virus has been uh, is going away. Okay. Okay, two things I want to look at mention about the spy. I mean, this thing here. I'll zoom. Okay, we are at the 2020 Opens, and we're just kind of hovering right here. And so basically, what's happened here? We've shut down everybody who has bought the SPY and bought the stock or bought the ETF, and they're basically break even for the year. Which is not a biggie. They're break even for the year. They haven't lost, so they're sitting there waiting to see what they want to do. But the option holders, on the other hand, who rode their contracts which that's been a major trade. They've been rolling from month to month to month to month. They rode that right near market highs on the SPY, and now we're way down here. So there's a very very distinct chance that anybody who rode their SPY options from January to February, they are going to lose the whole a significant portion of their money. And we're just a little bit over halfway, or right around halfway between contracts. So just keep that in mind. We still have time to recover to the upside, but it's something that I have on my watch here, and I just don't see how see if that's going to be a driving force for the options. Okay. Now the Qs are doing quite a bit better. We're positive on the year, and here's what I want to point out here. We had a roll on our options. We're right up here kissing at today on that roll point on these options. We start getting above today's highs, this thing can actually start taking off, breaking out the new highs again. So I know everybody wants to be real negative, but there is a lot of insurance that has been bought in VIX, and the bonds have got a nice steady bid. And if for some reason we start getting a bid here in the Qs, that we can start seeing a massive short squeeze in this little sell off. So that is a bullish take on this market because where it's relative to the roll point, the roll point on the options. So that's why I don't want to be overly bearish here, seeing the Qs doing this and being set up in this situation going into the end of the week. Okay. And then we'll start with stop with IWM. And this thing here has just been destroyed. Way up here is where they rode the options. They're just pretty much toast. Not very likely that we're going to come back and they were going to be able to recover. The energy has just destroyed this trade for anybody in the options that rode thinking they were going to get continuation in Russell. And we've all showed more than given up the 2020 Open. So some little things to watch there. Okay. Now, VXN, I wanted to go here first because that's the one that I think we can see a squeeze here. You see, you see how it's topping right here? It's a little bit toppy. And you see how we're hugging this MA right here? See how we've hugged this MA right here? You know, so I'm kind of concerned. I'm thinking we're preparing to break that MA and roll to the downside. And we're going to see more responsive buying in the Qs. So just keep that in mind here going forward into the week. I know a lot of people they're just wanting to say, "Oh my goodness, the market's going in term is going to fall apart here." And if you look at some things here, I don't think I think the Qs are really saving us here, and I don't know for how long, but uh, we'll see what happens and go from there. And if you look at your VX futures, like I said, we've already tagged my point there Friday, my target, and we didn't even get back up there today, but we did close on the bullish side of the VWAP. So we'll see what happens. And the Chinese market, all those Chinese markets, all looked like that they were wanting to see more continued downside on the close yesterday. I'm not so sure, but we'll see what happens. They were buying insurance just in case that there were some more major downside in the Chinese equities. So I think that's why this stayed heightened all day today. Investors wanted to see how the Chinese markets behaved in the overnight session, and we're probably going to get a gap down in the volatility overnight if the Chinese market. Okay, we'll go into tomorrow and see what happens here, but I'm kind of leaning to think here we're not going to achieve this upside target in the 10-year treasuries that I had mentioned in my prior two videos. We do have a VPOC here that we tested yesterday or Friday and today. It's 1014, so back in October, and we tested it and we've been chopping out here. And I'm kind of thinking we're going to roll back over here and see a responsive bid, higher yields starting tomorrow. As long as the Chinese markets can stabilize in the overnight session, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen here. The rest of the world was kind of digesting very well what was happening in China, and I think that's going to play over into the Chinese equities. And I don't think they really want to push the markets a lot lower, knowing Alibaba is going to be reporting Thursday. So I think we may have seen the low of the week in the Chinese equities. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of fear mongers out there talking about how much worse the markets are going to get. And don't get me wrong, it can happen, but I'm not quite in that camp. Well, today the gains were all Tesla. Can you believe these 4,200% gains in Tesla on this move? This is unbelievable, the kind of move that Tesla had today. I'm in awe about the entire move. It's just all struck. I mean, I knew it was going to go fast, but to move my entire range the very first day, it just blows my mind. And it actually went past my initial range, and basically we have them up and tagged a resistance area here on Tesla. It's also corresponds with a 100% fib. So just keep that in mind here. 100% fib extension. We've completed the pattern. So basically we had this breakout of this. See where was it here? I had to go out even further to even show you. 1 second here. Okay. Basically, we had this channel down here that we chopped around in, and this is this channel right here, and then we broke out Okay, this breakout now, we have achieved 100% move off that breakout. So basically from here to here, and now we've gone 100% of that in just a little bit, in just like 10, 15 days. So this is unreal, the kind of move we're talking about here. It's phenomenal, okay? And see, if we use this one here, they had a $806 target, I think, on Tesla upgrade today. And wouldn't you know it, right here at the $807, it's a um, pivot point. So basically, the next pivot point up is $807, and that's right above where they're calling out the next target for Tesla. So they're basically using technical analysis to push price higher and higher and higher on Tesla. Okay, on Tesla, and I got my Venom lines right here. This line right here corresponds with the Venom line way back over here. Let me activate my drawing here, and you can see. So basically, March of 2019, I have the Venom line. That's the longest dated Venom line that I still have, and that's exactly where we tagged the close on that Venom line. Now, I want to show you just exactly what's happening here. That's it for anything dated March 2019 and later. From now on out, we are really going into shorter dated time frames for our Venom lines and support and resistance area. So the more short dated our resistant lines are, the more pyramid type performance you have out of the stock. So just keep that in mind. This here is the last reasonable uh, place of resistance, in my opinion. But basically, what I'm seeing here, if they're trying to knock out all of 2018 pivot levels, we're looking at $1,137 for Tesla if they're trying to completely eliminate all these. And that would, I don't know, that seems completely far fetched to me. But this thing, the way it's acting, it's unreal. I mean, it's I don't even know what, and that it brings you up to $1,100 if this is only half the move right here, and we get another move that matches what we just did since earnings. This is that's $1,100. So yeah, I just I I'm in awe. From somebody coming from the automobile industry, I'm just in awe at what's happening here. So okay, Gilead had a very very positive report. They're helping with the virus. They got some experimental drug over there in China, so it caught a massive uptick here in the pre-market, and it sold off the rest of the day, and it's found some weakness throughout the rest of the day. Two of the other stocks that were rallying today, that was Disney. We were getting a bid into tomorrow evening's earnings, and then Google. And we had the earnings tonight, which it was rallying into the earnings. And as you can see, after the conference call came out, they pretty much walloped it to the downside after the conference call. The earnings were awesome, though. I mean, they really did have some really solid earnings, but the investors weren't too pleased about the conference call right now. So, but like I said before, the way the Qs are trading, this thing can squeeze pretty easily, and that will bring the Qs a nice responsive bid in the Qs if the Chinese markets manage to firm up in the overnight session. So right here, right now, after looking at my Qs and stuff, and what I'm seeing right here, I'm really leaning that the low for the week potentially is in, and that the VIX trade is actually going to start rolling off tomorrow after we see a little bit settling down in the Chinese markets. Now, if they don't settle down, they continue to sell off hard, which I don't think that's going to happen. Then yeah, then all bets are off. But so we'll see what happens tomorrow, and good luck, and I will see you guys tomorrow.